Breaking news now. Discussion among the entire committee led by Chairman McCaul Putin is responsible for this destruction, and he should be held accountable for it. Following today's full committee roundtable discussion on the strategic and fiscal imperative to transfer Russian sovereign assets to Ukraine and existing legislative proposals to pressure the Biden administration to take this critical step, Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee Michael McCaul gave the following remarks. We appreciate everyone's time and attention as we discuss ways to release billions in frozen Russian sovereign assets to aid in the Ukrainian war effort. Perfect timing. Just got back from the White House and the Situation Room, where we discussed a supplemental aid package for national security that would cover urgent needs like funding for Israel, as well as the Ukraine, the Indo-Pacific, and the border. When Hamas invaded Israel last week, it was clear to everyone here that we are living in perilous times. We cannot afford to lose sight of Ukraine, which is experiencing the largest invasion of Europe since World War II, in the midst of the ongoing conflict between Hamas and Israel and the growing threat of the CCP around the world, especially in the Pacific and the South China Sea. I have been critical of the Biden administration for being too weak to lead and too slow to roll out the weapons Ukraine needs to win. It's the atoms that I've been lobbying for. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with Zelensky, and I asked, "What do you need?" And he said, "I need the long-range artillery. Without it, I can't destroy the Iranian drones in Crimea." I don't know why the NSC is blaming the DoD and the DoD is blaming others when making that decision. You have to go all in or go home, and I agree with Colin Powell that they can win this if we give them what they need. We need to give everything we've got to win. People on my side of the aisle want an administration-winnable path to victory. The American people and ourselves hate to lose. We are a competitive bunch. If we have a failing program and a poorly managed war, we will lose the political support of the American people. Since Europe isn't keeping its end of the bargain, they'd rather not pay for it. Some members of NATO are now doing so and rising to the challenge, but others have yet to do so. The current administration will continue to back Ukraine for as long as it takes. My first thought was that it wouldn't take too long. And that is not a plan of action. In my opinion, the Russian sovereign assets are a winner, and we want victory as soon as possible. But we also need to know that the burden will be shared, and Europe must continue to provide Ukraine with more non-security assistance than the United States provides. In my opinion, the people responsible for starting this war and this conflict should be the ones to foot the bill, and not the American people as a whole. That's why I pushed for the Repo Act, a bill that has support from both parties in both houses of Congress and would require the transfer of Russian sovereign assets currently frozen by the Biden administration to the Ukrainian effort. It's high time for Russia to foot the bill for this war it started. Until Russia agrees to compensate Ukraine for the damages it has inflicted and Russia's unprovoked war of aggression ends, my bill would prevent the Biden administration from unfreezing Russian sovereign assets. During negotiations with our enemies, the administration exposed their willingness to trade away billions of dollars by paying $6 billion to Iran as part of a disastrous hostage deal with the Ayatollah. That's why I proposed legislation this month to put a permanent freeze on Iran's $6 billion in hostage deal funds by means of secondary sanctions. We must guard against any possibility of these funds falling into the hands of Iran or other terrorist organizations like Hamas or Hezbollah. We cannot let Biden give Putin and the Russian military permission to reclaim their stolen assets. Money cannot undo Russia's war crimes and genocide, that much is clear. War trauma will never be forgotten when innocent civilians, including women and children, are killed. Homes, towns, and businesses may be lost, but they can be rebuilt. A period of reconstruction is what I'm hoping for. Together with our European and G7 allies, We hold as much as $300 billion in Russian funds that could be used for immediate economic and humanitarian assistance in Ukraine, as well as the country's recovery and reconstruction after this conflict is resolved. Taking this step would send a strong message to other potential aggressors: if you violate the sovereignty of another country, you will be cut off from the financial systems of the G7 and the EU. Chairman Xi must have confidence that the free world has the resolve to stop bullies from enjoying impunity. It is both morally and strategically correct to accept the transfer of Russian sovereign assets. It's the prudent use of taxpayer money, and it's the right thing to do for our constituents. I believe Putin should be held accountable for this destruction. That is the purpose of this legislation, and I appreciate the members' time and attention today. The defense of Israel, the defense of Ukraine from aggression, the defense of our borders, and the defense of Taiwan are all vital to our national security and will be among the first items on the agenda once we have a new speaker in the chair.